In today's episode, we will dive into the most exciting part, how to perform at events and make connections. Once I attended a networking workshop. A professional woman taught us prepare 3 topics before you go into a networking event. I was ready to write them down, and she said food, sports, and travel. I was so surprised and asked her, is this enough? She told us, we are human beings. We don't need always talk about technical stuff. I wasn't completely convinced, but I remember I built deep connections with someone just by talking about this kind of basic topics. It was an event hosted by a mining company whose headquarters is in Perth, aiming to attract more female employees. When I arrived there, I talked with the HR, but she told me they don't have any cybersecurity requirements, and I love Adelaide. I don't want to move to other cities. So I thought I attended another useless event and started my eating and drinking mode. At that time, I sat on a sofa with other 2 ladies and talked about and drinking my second beer. One of the staff come from that company suddenly kneeled in front of me and tried to join our conversation. Many witnesses can't squat, so they always kneeling if they needed to. But kneeling is a huge serious thing in Chinese culture. I feel very embarrassed, so I stood up to talk with him. We continued the topic we talked before, just about do you have any restaurant recommendation in Perth? Food. We also talked about running. He mentioned he ran over 80 kilometers one day. I respect him. Sport. And he just finished a business visit to China. The city he visited happens to be my birthplace. He shared his insight from China. The most memorable point is the Chinese white rain, which was so strong. Travel. At the end of the conversation, he told me he was the principal engineer in that company and encouraged me to apply for their company's internship and graduate program. I told him the HR already rejected me. He said HR don't understand their needs, just apply the job and mention his name in the cover letter. I did it, but it doesn't work. Hey man, your name is not so useful, but it is a good case study for networking. I built deep connection with him by talking about basic topics, and I'm sure he liked me, not in a romantic way, but in the sense that he enjoyed talking with me and welcomed me to join their company. That's enough to build connection and open up for job opportunity. You may say, it sounds good, but how about show my ability? I had the same mindset before. Let me show you another true story, but this time is not so happy. At the end of 2023, I met a cyber professional by chance. He introduced me some cyber events that he also attended. So when I met him at these events, we always stood together. Yes, I made the same mistake I mentioned before, wasting time with the friends instead of building new connections. Okay. When we stood together, someone joined us and talked with each other, but I noticed when they talk about the industry, I always can't understand what they are talking about, so I didn't know how to respond and join their conversation. I just stood there, looked silly. This kind of things happened many times. I feel so discouraged. I remember I leaving the event and sitting on a bench in front of the building and writing to my mentor, Mr. A. I told her my experience and asked her for advice. At that moment, I thought maybe I should reading more industry news, so that next time I could share my insights about the industry. In her response, she gave me a huge encouragement, but she didn't agree with my industry news plan. She said, You don't need to show your ability at this stage. You are still new and learning from others, so you wouldn't need to share anything. It would be more about asking people about their own experience and learnings. You contribute by listening actively and showing interest. Remember that people who listen are rare. So the key ability in networking is ask right question. But what are the right questions? First, there is no silly question. Second, in my experience, if the question can show you curiosity, show you passion and motivations are better. If you are unsure what kind of question to ask, just ask ChatGPT. It will offer you a lot of choice. Practice in networking and pay attention about others' responses. If they seem interested, continue. If they show negative reactions, stop. Over time, you will develop the ability to ask right questions in different scenarios. That's all you need to do in networking event. Talking about food, sports, and travel, and ask right question. That's all. It's easy. In the next episode, I will show you how to maintain your relationship after networking and get more supporter.